They don't warn you when life decides to snap you in half. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It just hits. And when it does, most people shatter. They crumble, cry, run, beg for comfort. But not you. Not if you want to become powerful. Not if you want to rise without asking. See, Machiavelli didn't speak to the comfortable. He spoke to those who've been broken, betrayed, discarded, because that's when the real game begins. When life breaks you, it's watching what you do next. You want to know who you really are. Let everything fall apart. Let the money go. Let people turn their backs. Let the future look uncertain. You'll meet yourself in that storm. And if your mind is weak, you'll rot in self-pity. But if your mind is cold, alert, and detached, you'll evolve. Pain isn't an enemy, it's a teacher. It separates the fragile from the forged. And if you let it, pain will build you a mind that nothing can bend again. This world doesn't care about how you feel. It only responds to what you become. When they leave you in the dark, don't scream. Sit in silence, analyze, watch your thoughts, dissect your emotions, learn where your weakness lives, then starve it. Don't reach out, reach inward. Because once you build a mind that doesn't collapse under pressure, you'll become someone they can never control again. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to stay soft. You are here to become dangerous to anything that ever tried to break you. If you feel that shift inside you, I want you to comment this right now. Pain sharpens my power. Write it. Lock it in. This is how we start. Number 1. Weak minds seek comfort. Strong minds seek control. When most people are hurt, they look for comfort, distractions, temporary highs. They run to friends, noise, or addictions to escape what's really happening inside their mind. But here's the truth. Comfort kills growth. And that's exactly what the world wants. A mind that's too addicted to ease will never rise to power. You want to be untouchable? You must rewire how your brain responds to pain. Machiavelli would tell you, control is the highest form of power, but it doesn't begin with others, it begins with your own reactions. You've been trained to numb yourself, scrolling, eating, blaming, also you never face the real war happening within. But the one who rules his own mind owns the world. While others chase pleasure, you train focus. While they seek reassurance, you sit with discomfort. While they panic, you plan. That's not heartlessness. That's dominance over the only thing that truly matters, your own psychology. People will call you cold when you stop emotionally reacting. Let them. They only say that because they can no longer manipulate you. Silence will scare them. Your indifference will offend them. But you don't need their understanding. You need your mind to obey your will. You don't get there by being soft. You get there by confronting your darkest thoughts and refusing to flinch. This is where most break, but not you, not anymore. If you're ready to train your mind beyond emotion, beyond weakness, beyond the need for comfort, comment this right now. My control is my revenge. Make it known. Say less, power more. Number 2, break the emotion. Build the edge. You were never weak because life hurt you. You became weak because you let emotion hijack your judgment. You handed over your mental power to feeling, to chaos. And the second you did, you became prey. Understand this, pain is inevitable, but the interpretation is your choice. And in power psychology, the one who controls meaning controls everything. Life will break your body, but if it breaks your mind, you were never ready to begin with. And that's the truth most people run from. You have to unlearn the belief that reacting emotionally makes you authentic. It doesn't. It makes you predictable. The world studies you, and if your reactions are automatic, you're already owned. They know how to hurt you. They know which words trigger you. They know how to bait your anger, your sadness, your need for validation. And every time you respond the same way, you confirm that you're still not free. So what's the move? You become emotionally disciplined. Not emotionless, disciplined. You feel the heat, but you don't move unless it's calculated. You cry, but only behind locked doors. You speak less, but everything you say lands like a knife. You don't waste energy arguing with people who've already made up their minds. Why? Because your focus is sacred, and no one deserves access to your mind unless they've earned the right to be there. Machiavelli wrote that it's safer to be feared than loved, and in psychological warfare, love makes you soft. It ties you to illusion. But fear? Fear keeps people cautious. They'll watch what they say, they'll second-guess their moves, they'll respect you, even if they don't understand you. That's the edge you're building now, not just strength. Psychological sharpness. Control that doesn't need to yell to be felt. So, the next time life throws fire at you, don't flinch, don't break, stare it down. You've been broken before. This time, you'll break through. That's the difference between who you were and who you're becoming. If you're ready to replace emotional chaos with mental dominance, I want you to comment this right now. I feel nothing. I move with precision. Burn that line into your brain. You're not here to react, you're here to rise. Number 3, rewrite the narrative or stay broken. Most people stay broken because they accept the story life gave them. They wear their suffering like a badge, hoping someone will understand. But Machiavellian power isn't earned through pity, it's taken through mental warfare. You want to become untouchable, then rewrite your story. Right now, tear down every narrative that says you're a victim, that says you were wronged, that says life owes you something. Life owes you nothing, but it will give you power if you prove you're ruthless enough to take it. Your trauma is not your personality. Your pain is not your identity. Stop calling it your truth. It was a phase, a hit, a test. Now destroy it. You're not here to tell the world what happened to you. You're here to show the world who you became because of it. People will try to remind you of your past. Let them. Just make sure the version they're trying to talk to doesn't exist anymore. That's how you control the narrative, by killing off the version of yourself that stayed broken. Machiavelli understood that perception is more powerful than reality. So when you speak, make your words cut. When you walk, carry silence like a weapon. When they doubt you, don't explain, exceed. And when life hits again, as it will, you won't crumble. You'll calculate, you'll adapt, you'll use it. Because a man trained in pain becomes fluent in strategy. There will be nights when your mind feels like an enemy. You'll question everything. You'll want to disappear, and in that moment you'll have one choice: collapse or construct. Collapse into weakness or construct your mental empire. You don't need more hope, you need more control. The mind doesn't respect motivation, it respects discipline. Feed it the truth and train it to obey under pressure. So here's the truth you etch in blood. You are not the damaged version of your past. You are the weapon that version created. Say it with power. I killed the old me, I walk as the weapon. Comment it now if that switch just flipped in you. Let the world scroll. You're building something they'll never be able to touch again. Number 4, kill attachment. Build inner power. Attachment is the most silent killer of mental power. You don't see it at first. It feels warm. It feels like love, loyalty, hope. But beneath the surface, attachment turns your strength into chains. You wait, you chase, you compromise, you bend your standards just to keep people, places, and possibilities that were never meant to stay. And that's the first fracture in your mental armor, caring too much about things that don't care about you. Machiavelli didn't build power by clinging. He built it by watching, calculating, and detaching when the time came. And if you want to train your mind to withstand life's betrayals, you need to study this principle deeply. Never attach your peace to anything external. Not people, not outcomes, not even who you think you're supposed to be. Because the moment something controls how you feel, it controls you. And a controlled man is a weak man. You want to become dangerous? Then become emotionally independent. Master the art of showing up calm while chaos surrounds you. People will wonder why you don't react, why you don't beg, why you don't flinch. That's when you know the transformation is working. Your silence becomes unsettling. Your absence becomes loud. Your detachment becomes your dominance. Because while the world panics, you stay composed. Not because you don't feel, but because you no longer need. Every time you detach, you reclaim power. Every time you stop explaining, you sharpen focus. Every time you don't react, you earn respect. And every time you walk away, you remind the world you were never meant to be owned. You were meant to be observed from a distance. Understand this. Being unbothered is not coldness, it's control. And in Machiavellian warfare, control is everything. Now they'll try to guilt you. They'll say you've changed, that you don't care anymore, that you've become selfish. Let them. The truth is, you finally stopped playing the role of the emotional servant. You stopped bleeding for people who never noticed your wounds. You stopped shrinking so others could feel taller. And now that you've decided to choose power over approval, the same people who used your kindness will try to rewrite the script, but they don't get to anymore. Because you see through it now, clear, cold, focused. You've spent too long confusing attachment for loyalty. But loyalty to others means nothing if it costs you loyalty to yourself. This is the turning point. You don't need closure. You don't need applause. You need clarity and the mental distance to execute your next move in silence. This is what Machiavelli would have called the supreme discipline of rulers: to act without being seen, to feel without being enslaved, and to cut without hesitation when necessary. So, train your mind to drop what weakens it, release what drains, silence what distracts. You're not in this world to please, you're here to position. And positioning begins with emotional withdrawal. You must build an internal fortress no one has the key to, and once you do, the world loses its grip on you. They can talk, leave, lie, or betray, but they will never break what they cannot access. The more you detach, the more they notice. Not because you're gone, but because you're no longer dependent on being seen. Power doesn't chase, power disappears and lets absence do the damage. That's your new form of warfare: subtle, cold, effective. If something inside you finally snapped, if you're ready to cut all emotional chains and walk with power alone, I want you to comment this right now: attachment is weakness. I choose control. Say it. Lock it. Let the weak scroll past. Because you're here to rule from within. Number 5. Isolation is where kings are forged. They'll tell you that being alone is dangerous. That isolation is a sign of failure. That distance means you're broken. But that's a lie told by those who can't stand silence. Weak minds need noise. They need people around them constantly to distract from the war inside. But you're different now. You're entering a phase most won't survive. The phase of chosen isolation. Not loneliness, solitude. And in that solitude, you will build something unshakable. Your mind. This is the moment where the world gets quiet and your thoughts get loud. Every fear, every insecurity, every regret will surface. It's not an attack, it's an audit. This is where Machiavelli thrived. He observed, plotted, sharpened his mind in the dark while others played in the light. Because that's what isolation gives you. A space free from illusion. You begin to see clearly who you are, what broke you, and what needs to be burned for you to rise. Most people run from this. They fill the silence with music, people, constant scrolling, anything to escape their reflection. But you're going to sit in that silence and dominate it. You'll listen to your mind scream, and you won't flinch. You'll hear old beliefs begging to stay alive, and you'll kill them off, one by one. This isn't healing, it's transformation. And transformation is never pretty. It's brutal, it's cold, but it's real. This is where you rewrite the code. You stop thinking like a servant and start thinking like a strategist. You detach from emotional noise and attach to tactical clarity. You rewire how you wake up, how you speak, how you walk into a room. You no longer chase dopamine, you chase discipline. You no longer ask why things happened, you ask how you can use them. That shift, that's your rebirth. Not soft, not spiritual, strategic. In isolation, you'll find every weakness trying to crawl back in. Old habits will whisper. Past relationships will try to resurrect. Your doubts will disguise themselves as logic. But this is where you separate yourself from the 99%. You don't answer the knock. You don't reopen what broke you. You build alone. You study alone. You evolve alone. And the next time they see you, you won't be the same. When a man returns from isolation, he is either more broken or more dangerous. There is no middle. The weak come back needing validation. The powerful come back needing nothing. That's the path you're on. You're not doing this for attention. You're doing it to reclaim your edge. The world rewards those who control themselves, not those who broadcast their healing journey. Silence becomes your gym. Loneliness becomes your weapon. And when life throws fire again, you won't run. You'll walk through it with a mind trained in solitude and eyes that don't blink. That's what scares them. That you no longer need anyone to feel whole. That you no longer share your plans. That you no longer beg for understanding. Because now, you've tasted what true power feels like. Freedom from the world's approval. Machiavelli wrote his sharpest strategies alone. He understood that influence isn't built in crowds, it's built in the shadows. And so must you. Stop trying to fix your mind in public. Stop seeking answers from people who don't even know themselves. Go inward. Go dark. Let your silence cook your next move. And when you return, don't explain. Don't announce. Just execute. The ones who ghosted you, doubted you, played with you, they won't know how to react because you'll come back with no emotion, no need, no dependence, just calm, brutal precision. That's what happens when you embrace isolation. You don't become a better version of your old self, you become someone they never imagined. So I'll ask you this, are you ready to disappear from everything that distracts and reappear as everything they fear? If the answer is yes, then comment this right now. I train in silence. I return with power. Let them keep talking. You're done explaining. You're just getting started. Number 6. Turn pain into precision. Think like a tactician. Pain is the greatest intelligence test life gives you. Not school, not books, not degrees, but raw pain. The kind that breaks your routine, bends your ego, and cuts your illusions open. And in that chaos, the weak beg for comfort. But the future rulers, they go quiet. They stop feeling and start calculating. They look at pain like a message, like a puzzle, like a warning shot from the universe saying, adapt now or be erased. If you're still reacting to pain emotionally, you haven't understood it yet. Pain is data. It shows you where you're exposed. It shows you what they can use against you. It reveals who you depended on, who you overestimated, and where your defenses were weak. This is where you stop seeing pain as an enemy and start using it like a scalpel. You dissect it. You sit with it. You ask, why did this hit me so hard? And the answer always comes back to one thing. You let your mind fall asleep. Machiavelli would tell you, never let peace lull you into softness. The world is not a safe place. It's a board of moves, traps, and consequences. And when you treat life like a battlefield, you begin to act like a tactician. Pain stops being bad, it becomes feedback. Your heartbreak, data. Your failure, map coordinates. Your betrayal, a list of vulnerabilities you need to seal shut. While others collapse under emotion, you start crafting responses. Not reactions, responses. Because a response is a product of strategy. It's timed, it's chosen, it's cold. That's power. You see, most people are playing checkers with their pain, jumping too fast, too loud, too desperate. But you play chess. You stop asking, why me? And you start asking, where can this pain position me long term? That's the Machiavellian mindset. Cold, clear, focused. Every time life stabs you, don't bleed. Analyze. What did it expose? What weakness in your system made it possible? What blind spot let them get close? What habit left your energy scattered? Pain isn't just an alert, it's a blueprint, but only if you're ruthless enough to look at it without flinching. And here's where your power multiplies. When you begin to predict pain, you stop walking into the same traps. You see the pattern before it repeats. You read people before they open their mouths. That's not trauma, that's tactical memory. It's your nervous system saying, I've seen this move before, we're not falling for it again. This is the birth of intuition, sharpened by experience, filtered through logic. You no longer feel your way through life. You observe, and from observation you calculate. That's what makes you terrifying. But strategy isn't just what you do to others, it's how you treat yourself. You wake up with a protocol. You don't let random thoughts set your mood. You don't let emotion dictate your decisions. You sit still, breathe, and decide what the day demands of you. Do you need to be calm, cold, assertive, silent, aggressive? Strategic people never walk into situations unarmed. And that weapon you carry isn't in your hand, it's in your mind. You begin to filter everything: conversations, relationships, habits. You stop talking for validation. You start speaking with intention. You stop showing up to be liked. You start entering spaces with presence. And every time someone tests you, you don't bark. You observe. You don't argue. You document. You don't react. You reposition. That's the man life fears. The one who doesn't just survive pain, but uses it to refine his sharpness. You walk different. You think ahead. You smile less. But when you do, it means something. You don't need to be loud. Your silence becomes a warning. That's the energy that changes rooms without saying a word. You've been taught to feel your feelings. No. Feel your strategy. Study your patterns. Rebuild your responses. Emotion is a signal, not a command. It's not here to rule you, it's here to guide you into deeper logic, into presence, into precision. And if you learn to stay calm under fire, they'll never see your next move coming. That's what they fear most, not the man who explodes, but the man who calculates in silence. Machiavelli understood something the world forgot, that strategy is the only true power. Charm fades, emotions fluctuate, but strategy outlasts them all. It's how the weak flip the script. It's how the broken rewrite the outcome. And now, that's your new identity. Not stronger, sharper, not healed, calculated, not nice, unreadable. So from this point forward, stop praying for less pain. Train your mind to extract the value inside it. That's how you win. You don't rise by being the loudest. You rise by being the one who knows how to move without being moved. And if you're ready to turn pain into power, real, dangerous, strategic power, I want you to comment this right now. I no longer react, I reposition. Write it. Own it. Move in silence now. Let the weak keep screaming. You're working on your next move. Number 7. Become emotionally immune. Kill their control. Let's get one thing straight. The world doesn't destroy you with weapons. It destroys you with expectations, with pressure, with emotional bait. You're told to be nice when you should be silent, to forgive when you should walk away, to explain when you should disappear, and every time you comply, you lose a piece of yourself. That's how control works. Not with force, with emotion. But you're not playing that game anymore. You're done bleeding for people who sharpen the knife. This is where you begin your emotional immunity. Not numbness, immunity. The difference? Numbness avoids, immunity absorbs and remains unaffected. That's the power you're building now. You don't let their words pierce. You don't let their absence shake you. You don't let their opinions override your standard. You hear it, you see it, but it doesn't reach your core. Why? Because you've reinforced the walls inside and nothing that isn't truth gets through. The weak give their energy away like it's nothing. One insult and they spiral. One ghosted message and they lose all self-respect. One setback and they collapse into victimhood. But Machiavelli would tell you, a ruler must be unshakable. Not because he's hard, but because he's focused. You can't control your empire if you can't control your emotion. You can't lead others if anyone can destabilize you with a few careless words. And you damn sure can't protect your mind if you keep handing out access like it costs nothing. You must audit everything that touches your energy. Every conversation, every environment, every person. You must ask, does this strengthen me or does this scatter me? And the second you feel yourself shrinking, doubting, or hesitating, cut it. Emotionally, strategically, quietly. This is not about revenge. This is about preservation. They don't need to know you're done. They just need to feel the void where your emotional investment used to live. You're not here to chase clarity from people who enjoy confusing you. You're not here to keep proving your worth to people who benefit from making you doubt it. Your self-respect is not up for negotiation anymore. You know who you are now, and that version doesn't ask twice, doesn't chase, doesn't beg. It's a version that walks away so silently, people start to wonder if they ever truly had access to you at all. This is what makes you terrifying, that you're no longer reachable by manipulation, that they can't predict your reaction, that you respond with calm, not chaos. You don't clap back, you don't rant, you don't argue. You vanish, emotionally first, physically later. And when they go looking for the version of you that used to play their game, they'll find emptiness. That's power. That's your new weapon, absence loaded with presence. You must build a standard so high that anyone who brings inconsistency, disrespect, or emotional confusion self-destructs before they can reach your core. Not because you attack them, but because your emotional clarity acts like a mirror. It shows them who they are. And most people can't stand their reflection, especially when it's not being softened by your sympathy anymore. Let them call you distant. Let them say you've changed. They're right. You have. You've evolved past the version of yourself that needed to be liked, that over-explained, that tolerated. You've become immune to anything that drains you, and now they can feel it. That coldness, it's not hate. It's peace. That silence, it's not distance. It's protection. You no longer seek to be understood. You seek to be undisturbed. Machiavelli said, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. So, ask yourself, who gets access to your world? Who still has emotional power over you? Who do you let inside, even after they've broken your mind a dozen times? That's your audit. That's your cleanup mission. And when it's done, you'll stand lighter, sharper, more dangerous than ever before. Because nothing is more powerful than a man who has learned to protect his inner state. Not with aggression, not with revenge, but with distance, discipline, and detachment. You don't scream for respect. You live in such a way that disrespect can't even enter your space. And when life tries to test you again, it won't find the same entry points. You've sealed the cracks. You've burned the bridges. And what stands now is a mind immune to everything that once broke it. So I'll ask you this, are you still reacting or are you controlling? Are you still bleeding for the same stories or are you rewriting them? Are you still giving emotional power to the unworthy or have you cut the cord? If you're done being emotionally available to anything that weakens you, comment This now. My peace is locked. No one gets in. Ha! Let the world keep reaching for the old you. That door is sealed shut. You've entered a state of psychological control now, and once you arrive here, you never go back. Number 8. Weaponize your presence. Command without a word. Powerful men don't speak often. They don't explain themselves. They don't argue in public. They walk in silence, but their presence speaks louder than words ever could. That's not arrogance. That's calibration. They know the battlefield they're walking on. They know eyes are watching. They know perception shapes reality. And they know this: the less you say, the more control you hold. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You need to carry energy that forces people to feel your presence without understanding why. That's what Machiavelli meant when he wrote that rulers must appear strong even when they are not, because perception in the game of power always outranks truth. And now you train for this, to become unreadable, calm, cold, controlled. A presence so collected that others feel exposed around you, not because you're doing anything, but because they can't decode you. Your silence becomes a mirror. People project onto you their guilt, their fear, their intentions, and you say nothing. You let them reveal themselves while you reveal nothing. That's how you win without lifting a finger. By being the one who doesn't need to speak to shift the atmosphere. You've seen it before. A room changes when a certain person walks in. The energy tightens, the conversations shift, people adjust their posture. That's not magic, that's presence. And presence is built in solitude, in discipline, in quiet self-mastery. It's built when you no longer chase approval, when you walk with calm certainty in who you are and who you're not. This is where your true dominance begins, not in force, but in the refusal to overexpress. Weak men overcompensate. They talk too much, brag too loud, over-explain. That's insecurity in disguise. But you're becoming something rarer. A man who can sit still in a storm. A man who doesn't flinch under insult. A man who doesn't react. Because he's always already 2 steps ahead. You're not interested in being liked anymore. You're interested in being felt. That's the difference. Liked men are available, soft, flexible. Felt men are unpredictable, self-contained, and respected from a distance. You don't beg for attention, you remove it. And the second you withdraw, they panic, they feel it. Because silence from a man with power is louder than 100 empty voices. Machiavelli would tell you, the most feared men in history weren't always the loudest, they were the most deliberate. They didn't broadcast their plans, they executed them. They didn't seek revenge through noise, they let their absence rearrange the room. That's what you're learning now, to replace performance with presence, to replace explanation with observation, to walk into spaces like your energy is currency, because it is. It is. If they don't respect your presence, make them feel your absence. If they talk over you, go silent. If they challenge you, respond with action, not noise. This is the new form of war. Psychological, invisible, lethal. You don't need to dominate with aggression. You dominate by being untouchable. The one who doesn't blink. The one who walks away without needing to justify why. The one who never begs to be seen, but is always noticed. But don't get it twisted. This kind of power isn't for the weak. It requires brutal self-control. You have to kill the need to prove yourself. You have to bury the impulse to defend your name every time it's spoken. You have to train your face to stay still when they lie, provoke, or try to expose you. That's when you win. Not when you clap back, but when you give them nothing. No reaction, no access, no emotion. Just a calm, cold face that says, I saw it, I calculated it, and it wasn't even worth my breath. You become dangerous when you stop reacting. When your silence forces people to confront themselves. When your presence makes them cautious with their words. That's how respect is built. Not with demands, but with psychological contrast. between what they expect from you and what they get. If they expect you to argue and you stay silent, that's power. If they expect you to chase and you vanish, that's power. If they expect you to fold and you rise stronger, that real, calculated power. They won't say it, but they'll feel it, and they'll adjust. This is what being feared without being cruel looks like. It's not about hurting people. It's about carrying yourself in a way that says, I don't need you, I don't trust you, and I don't explain myself to you. That alone terrifies people, because most can't survive without attention. Most can't breathe without validation. But you're teaching yourself to thrive in silence, and that makes you a threat in every room you enter. So from this day forward, let your presence speak for you. Don't explain your value. Become so focused, so emotionally disciplined, and so unreadable that they feel it before you ever speak. You don't owe the world your words. You owe yourself your power. If you're ready to become that, comment this now. My presence is my power. My silence is my strike. Number 9, the unbreakable mind. Cold, clear, untouchable. You've felt the betrayal. You've endured the silence. You've sat alone in the dark with thoughts that nearly ate you alive, and yet you're still here. Stronger, quieter, colder, not because life got easier, but because you finally understood. The world doesn't reward softness. It rewards the mind that refuses to die, even when everything else does. This is the moment you become something else. Not a survivor, not a victim, but a weapon, a presence, a mind that doesn't flinch when it's tested, because it has been tested 1,000 times in silence, and every time it didn't break. It recalculated. That's what Machiavelli meant when he said men must either be feared or crushed. Because power doesn't exist in half measures. It doesn't belong to the emotional. It doesn't respond to the hopeful. It bows only to those who train their minds like an assassin trains his blade. Cold, sharp, and always ready. This final stage is where most people turn back. They miss the old comfort, the noise, the validation. But not you. You don't miss the past because you've burned the bridge. You've seen what being soft gets you. Overlooked, used, forgotten. You've seen what over-explaining does. It makes people ignore you more. You've seen what reacting emotionally brings. Weakness. You've outgrown all of it, and now you don't look back, you construct forward. The unbreakable mind isn't born through hope, it's built through design, through choice, through ritual. Every morning you choose to stay sharp. Every decision is a move. Every response is calculated. You stop chasing outcomes, you build leverage. You stop giving access, you raise the price. You stop proving worth, you live like a man who doesn't ask for value. When life hits now, you don't panic, you pause. You don't collapse, you adjust. You don't seek comfort, you seek control. That's the difference between the old you and the new version that's emerging. One needed things to go right. This one knows how to win, even when everything goes wrong. Because the game isn't emotional anymore. It's psychological. It's strategic. It's war. And your mind is the battlefield. So you walk different now. Not with arrogance, but with power. You speak less, but when you do, people listen. You no longer try to fit into rooms. You own the space with your presence. You no longer explain your silence. You wear it like armor. That's the mark of someone who's trained in fire, someone who stopped waiting to be understood and started becoming impossible to ignore. Machiavelli would have called this state invincibility through perception. The moment people realize they can't control your mind, they start respecting you differently. They stop testing you. They stop wasting your time. Because everything about your presence communicates one thing. This man is untouchable. Not because he fights, but because he no longer bleeds for the world. The mind you've trained can't be seduced by attention anymore. It can't be shaken by betrayal. It can't be lured back into old patterns with shallow promises. It sees through manipulation. It remains calm under pressure. It thinks 5 moves ahead. It trusts nothing easily. And yet it fears nothing completely. That is a mind made for war. That is a mind that doesn't fold. It watches, it waits, and it strikes only when necessary. You didn't get here by accident. You got here because life tried to break you, and you used every broken piece as fuel, every betrayal as blueprint, every disappointment as sharpening stone. That's the kind of power no one can take, because it wasn't given by the world. It was built in silence, alone, step by step. And now, you lead, not from behind a mask, not from a place of noise, but from depth, from clarity, from cold understanding. You don't entertain the irrelevant. You don't emotionally invest in chaos. You don't give warnings. Your absence says enough. You don't flex. Your energy makes people rethink their tone before they even speak. This is the final state. Not emotional detachment for defense, but psychological clarity for dominance. You've stopped reacting to life. You've started running it. You've trained your mind to be strong when life breaks you. And that right there is Machiavelli's coldest law. He who controls his mind controls the world. So I'll leave you with this final truth. You are no longer rebuilding, you are reprogramming. And the man you're becoming doesn't apologize for being calculated. He doesn't explain his coldness. He doesn't shrink for anyone's comfort. He doesn't seek permission. He builds position. That's the energy that rises to the top. That's the mindset that no loss, no betrayal, no chaos can destroy. If this series carved a new reality into you, then let the world know. Drop this in the comments. I am untouchable now. I own my mind. That's the final signal that you've arrived, that you're done being broken, that you've stopped begging and started building. Now go, quietly, and let your next move make the noise.